The Taj Mahal, yoga and zero. Heard of them? Of course you have. But these are just glimpses of India's incredible story. From ancient cities to legendary empires and ideas that shaped the world, this is the entire history of India. The history of India begins with the Indus Valley civilization, one of the world's oldest and most advanced urban civilizations, flourishing around 3300 BCE in the fertile plains of the Indus River and its tributaries. This civilization spanned areas of present-day India, Pakistan, and Afghanistan. Its urban centers, Mohenjo-daro and Harappa, were marvels of urban planning and infrastructure. The people of the Indus Valley demonstrated remarkable engineering skills. Their cities were meticulously organized, with wide streets laid out in grid patterns and sophisticated drainage systems that ensured cleanliness and hygiene. Public baths, granaries, and storage facilities were common features, reflecting advanced societal organization. The economy of the Indus Valley was predominantly agrarian. They cultivated crops such as wheat, barley, cotton, and peas. Trade was a significant aspect of their culture, with evidence of connections to Mesopotamia indicated by seals, pottery, and other artifacts found at excavation sites. These artifacts also suggest a standardized system of weights and measures. Despite these advancements, the Indus script, a collection of symbols and signs, remains undeciphered, leaving questions about their governance and social structures unanswered. Scholars have debated whether the civilization was ruled by a centralized authority, a priestly class, or a network of city-states. The decline of the Indus Valley civilization around 1300 BCE is attributed to a combination of factors, including environmental changes. The drying of the Sarasvati River and shifts in monsoonal patterns likely disrupted agriculture and trade, forcing populations to abandon urban centers. The legacy of the Indus Valley endures in Indian culture through its contributions to architecture, craftsmanship, and early agricultural practices. The Vedic Age marks a transformative era in the history of India, beginning around 1500 BCE with the migration of the Indo-Aryans into the subcontinent. This period derives its name from the Vedas, a collection of sacred texts composed in Sanskrit that remain central to Hindu philosophy and culture. The Vedas, Rigveda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, and the Atharva Veda are a rich source of knowledge about the religious practices, societal structure, and beliefs of this time. During the early Vedic period, society was largely pastoral and tribal, with cattle serving as a primary measure of wealth. Communities lived in settlements and engaged in agriculture, with the cultivation of wheat, barley, and rice becoming more widespread. The use of iron tools, especially plows, marked an agricultural revolution, allowing for surplus production and the growth of settlements. As the Vedic Age progressed, a social hierarchy known as Varna evolved. Initially fluid, this system became more rigid over time, giving rise to the caste structure. Society was divided into four primary groups: Brahmins, priests and scholars, Kshatriyas, warriors and rulers, Vaishyas, traders and agriculturalists, and Shudras, laborers and service providers. This hierarchical system profoundly influenced India's social fabric, shaping interactions for centuries. The religious practices of the Vedic people were centered on fire sacrifices, yajnas, and the worship of natural forces personified as gods. Prominent deities included Agni, fire, Indra, the warrior god, and Varuna, the cosmic order keeper. The hymns in the Rig Veda praise these deities, reflecting a deep connection between the people and their environment. By the later Vedic period, philosophical concepts such as dharma, duty, karma, action and its consequences, and moksha, liberation from the cycle of rebirth, began to emerge. These ideas laid the foundation for Hinduism, influencing its spiritual and ethical dimensions. The later Vedic period saw the emergence of Janapadas, early kingdoms. These were small, clan-based political entities, often centered around fertile river plains. The increasing complexity of governance and society led to the codification of laws and the development of rituals to reinforce social order. Yoga and the meditation practices also trace their roots to this era, reflecting an early interest in mental and physical discipline. The Vedic Age was a period of transition and foundation building, setting the stage for larger political entities and philosophical revolutions in the subsequent centuries. By 600 BCE, the Indian subcontinent saw the emergence of powerful political entities known as the Mahajanapadas, meaning great kingdoms. These 16 kingdoms were spread across the Indo-Gangetic plains and beyond, extending from the northwest frontier to the eastern heartlands of Magadha. Among them, Magadha, Koshala, Kuru, and Panchala emerged as Don's dominant players. Magadha, in particular, benefited from its fertile agricultural lands, strategic location near important trade routes, and access to resources like iron, which was essential for making tools and weapons. Over time, it became the most powerful of the Mahajanapadas, with its capital at Rajagriha and later Pataliputra, laying the groundwork for the future empires that would dominate the region. This era was not only about political consolidation, but also intellectual and spiritual upheaval. Two revolutionary movements emerged during this period, reshaping India's cultural and religious landscape. The first was Jainism, founded by Mahavira, who preached the principles of non-violence, ahimsa, asceticism, and ethical living. Jain teachings rejected the ritualistic practices of the Vedic tradition and instead promoted direct personal responsibility for spiritual progress. Around the same time, Gautama Buddha, born as Prince Siddhartha in the Shakya kingdom, renounced his royal life in search of truth and enlightenment. After years of meditation, he attained nirvana and began teaching the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, offering a practical framework to overcome suffering and achieve liberation. Both Jainism and Buddhism rejected the hierarchical caste system and Vedic orthodoxy, attracting followers across different strata of society, including rulers, merchants, and common people. Trade and commerce flourished during this period, and urban centers like Vaishali, Varanasi, and Taxila became hubs of economic activity, art, and learning. Taxila, in particular, stood out as one of the ancient world's foremost centers of education, attracting students from across Asia. These cities were not just economic powerhouses, but also crucibles of cultural exchange, where ideas, goods, and traditions intermingled. In 327 BCE, Alexander the Great entered the Indian subcontinent through its northwestern frontier, bringing with him the influences of the Hellenistic world. While his campaign was short-lived and largely confined to the Punjab region, his presence introduced new military techniques, artistic traditions, and cultural exchanges. However, Alexander's withdrawal from India left a political void in the region, especially in the northwest. This void paved the way for the rise of the Mauryan Empire, which would unify much of the subcontinent and establish a new era of centralized governance. This period of the Mahajanapadas was transformative, marked by the rise of powerful states, the spread of revolutionary philosophies, and increased cultural and economic interactions. These developments laid the foundations for the political and spiritual evolution of India in the centuries to come. The Gupta Empire, often held as India's golden age, marked an era of unparalleled achievements in art, science, mathematics, literature, and governance. Founded by Chandragupta once around 320 CE, the Gupta dynasty consolidated power in northern India and expanded its influence through military conquests, strategic alliances, and an efficient administrative system. The Guptas established their capital at Pataliputra, the same city that had been the heart of the Mauryan Empire centuries earlier. This era is renowned for its advancements in knowledge and intellectual pursuits. Scholars like Aryabhata, a brilliant mathematician and astronomer, made groundbreaking contributions. Aryabhata proposed the revolutionary idea that the Earth rotates on its axis and calculated its circumference with remarkable accuracy. He also introduced the concept of zero, a pivotal mathematical development that later transformed arithmetic, algebra, and computer science. Other luminaries like Varahamihira and Brahmagupta expanded knowledge in astronomy, mathematics, and natural sciences. The medical sciences also flourished during this period, as documented in the Sushruta Samhita and Karaka Samhita, comprehensive treatises on surgery and the medicine. These texts detailed advanced surgical techniques, including cataract removal and plastic surgery, as well as a profound understanding of herbal medicines and human anatomy. The Gupta era was equally distinguished in the arts and literature. Kalidasa, one of India's greatest poets and dramatists, authored masterpieces such as Shakuntala and Meghaduta, works that continue to inspire admiration for their lyrical beauty and emotional depth. Sanskrit literature flourished, and the Puranas, texts chronicling mythology, history, and cosmology, were compiled during this time. The Guptas also left an indelible mark on architecture and sculpture. The magnificent Ajanta and Ellora caves, adorned with intricate frescoes and sculptures, exemplified the artistic sophistication of the age. These rock-cut monuments reflect the religious and cultural diversity of the period, with Buddhist, Hindu, and Jain influences seamlessly blending into their designs. Politically, the Gupta rulers maintained a relatively decentralized administration, allowing local rulers to retain autonomy while pledging allegiance to the empire. This model fostered stability and prosperity, enabling the empire to focus on cultural and economic advancements. Trade routes linking India to Southeast Asia, China, and the Mediterranean facilitated the exchange of goods, ideas, and technologies. Despite its achievements, the Gupta Empire began to decline in the late 5th century due to invasions by the Hunas, a Central Asian nomadic group, and internal dissension among regional powers. By the mid-6th century, the empire had fragmented into smaller states. However, the legacy of the Gupta era endures as a high point in India's cultural and intellectual history, shaping the subcontinent's identity for generations to come. The period following the Gupta Empire's decline marked a time of political fragmentation and regional consolidation in the Indian subcontinent. As centralized power waned, regional kingdoms rose to prominence, each contributing uniquely to India's cultural and political landscape. This era was characterized by remarkable diversity, with states in the north and south of India developing distinct political systems, trade networks, and artistic traditions. In northern India, several powerful kingdoms vied for dominance. The Palace of Bengal, the Pratiharas of Rajasthan, and the Rashtrakutas of the Deccan formed a triangular power struggle often referred to as the tripartite struggle. These kingdoms competed primarily for control of Kannauj, a strategic city on the fertile Ganges plain, which symbolized political and economic supremacy in the region. The palace, known for their Buddhist patronage, supported the construction of monasteries and universities, including the renowned Nalanda University, which attracted scholars from across Asia. Meanwhile, the Pratiharas and Rashtrakutas focused on expanding their territories and consolidating their political power. In southern India, the Chola dynasty rose to prominence, becoming one of the most influential maritime powers in Indian history. The Cholas, with their capital at Thanjavur, embarked on extensive naval expeditions, establishing trade links with Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka, and China. They left behind a lasting legacy in temple architecture, most notably the Brihadeswara Temple, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Cholas' administrative system, which included village self-governance, was highly advanced and served as a model for later states. This period also saw the arrival of Mahmud of Ghazni, a Turkic ruler from modern-day Afghanistan, who conducted multiple raids into northern India between 1000 and 1025 CE. His invasions targeted temples and cities rich in wealth, such as Somnath and Mashura, leaving a profound impact on the political and cultural psyche of the region. Mahmud's campaigns marked the beginning of a series of incursions that would later lead to the establishment of Islamic rule in northern India. Culturally, this era witnessed significant developments in literature, music, and art. Regional languages such as Tamil, Kannada, and Bengali flourished, and important literary works, including the Tamil epic Silapadikaram, were composed. Temple architecture also reached new heights, with dynasties like the Cholas, Pallavas, and Hoysalas commissioning monumental structures adorned with intricate carvings. The medieval period, though marked by political fragmentation and conflict, was a time of vibrant cultural and economic activity. The regional powers fostered trade, religious diversity, and artistic innovation, laying the groundwork for the dynamic interactions that would define India in the coming centuries. The establishment of the Delhi Sultanate marked a significant shift in Indian history, introducing Islamic governance to the subcontinent and laying the groundwork for profound cultural, political, and social changes. This period saw 5 successive dynasties: the Mamluks, slave dynasty, Khiljis, Tughlaqs, Sayyids, and Lodis, rule from Delhi, their influence extending over much of northern India and parts of the Deccan Plateau. The Delhi Sultanate began with the ascendancy of Qutb al-Din Aibak, a former slave of the Ghurid ruler Muhammad Ghori, who declared himself Sultan of Delhi in 1206 after Ghori's death. Aibak's reign saw the construction of the iconic Qutb Minar, a UNESCO World Heritage Site symbolizing the Islamic architectural legacy in India. His successors, particularly Iltutmish, consolidated power and established Delhi as a prominent center of governance. The Sultanate reached new heights under the Khilji dynasty, especially during the rule of Alauddin Khilji. Alauddin expanded the Sultanate's territories through military campaigns into southern India, defeating the Yadavas of Ivagiri and the Hoysalas. His reign was marked by administrative reforms, including market regulations to control prices and prevent inflation, as well as defensive measures against the Mongols, who frequently raided the northern frontier. The Tughlaq dynasty succeeded the Khiljis, with Muhammad bin Tughlaq as one of its most enigmatic rulers. Known for his ambitious yet controversial policies, Muhammad bin Tughlaq attempted to shift the capital from Delhi to Daulatabad in present-day Maharashtra to secure his southern territories, a decision that caused immense hardship and ultimately failed. Despite these missteps, his reign was notable for its intellectual vigor, with scholars and travelers like Ibn Battuta visiting his court. The later years of the Sultanate, under the Sayyids and Lodis, were characterized by declining central authority and growing regional dissent. The Vijayanagara Empire in the south and the Bahmani Sultanate in the Deccan emerged as powerful rivals, challenging the Sultanate's dominance. By the early 16th century, the Delhi Sultanate faced internal strife and external threats, culminating in the defeat of Ibrahim Lodi by Babur at the Battle of Panipat in 1526. This battle marked the end of the Delhi Sultanate and the beginning of the Mughal Empire. Culturally, the Delhi Sultanate was a period of significant fusion between Indian and Islamic traditions. Persian influence enriched Indian art, architecture, and literature, giving rise to iconic monuments like the Alai Darwaza and fostering the growth of new literary genres. The introduction of Sufism, a mystical Islamic tradition, created an enduring spiritual legacy, blending with local practices to form a syncretic culture. The Delhi Sultanate's legacy lies in its role as a bridge between ancient Indian traditions and the emerging Islamic world. It laid the foundation for subsequent empires, fostering cultural exchange and shaping the socio-political landscape of medieval India. The Mughal Empire, established in 1526 by Babur, marked the beginning of one of the most illustrious dynasties in Indian history. The Mughals ruled over a vast expanse of the subcontinent, blending Persian, Central Asian, and Indian influences to create a distinct cultural and administrative legacy. The dynasty's reign saw remarkable achievements in governance, architecture, art, and religious integration, leaving an indelible mark on India. The empire began with Babur's decisive victory over Ibrahim Lodi at the Battle of Panipat, which ended the Delhi Sultanate. Babur, a descendant of Timur and Genghis Khan, brought with him Central Asian traditions of governance and warfare. However, it was under Akbar the Great, 1556 to 1605, that the Mughal Empire reached its zenith. Akbar's reign was characterized by military expansion, administrative consolidation, and a policy of religious tolerance. He abolished the jizya tax on non-Muslims and sought to integrate his diverse empire through policies of inclusivity, including the formation of Din-e-Ilahi, a syncretic faith blending elements of various religions. Akbar's administrative reforms laid the foundation for an efficient empire. He introduced the Mansabdari system, a hierarchical framework for civil and military administration, which ensured loyalty and stability. Akbar also promoted trade and agricultural reforms, leading to economic prosperity across his empire. His court became a hub of cultural exchange, attracting scholars, artists, and musicians. The Mughal Empire's architectural achievements remain unparalleled, with rulers like Shah Jahan (1628 to 1658) commissioning some of India's most iconic structures. Shah Jahan's reign gave rise to the Taj Mahal, a UNESCO World Heritage Site and a symbol of enduring love, built in memory of his wife Mumtaz Mahal. Other masterpieces from this era include the Red Fort in Delhi and the Jama Masjid. These monuments reflected a blend of Persian, Islamic, and Indian architectural styles, setting new standards for aesthetic excellence. The empire also flourished culturally under the Mughals. Persian became the language of administration and high culture, while local languages like Urdu emerged as a result of the synthesis between Persian, Arabic, and Indian dialects. Mughal patronage extended to miniature painting, music, and literature, with Akbar's court historians like Abul Fazl chronicling the empire's history in works such as the Akbarnama. However, the Mughal Empire began to weaken under Aurangzeb, 1658 to 1707, whose policies of religious orthodoxy and continuous military campaigns strained the empire's resources and alienated non-Muslim communities. Aurangzeb's expansionist ambitions brought large territories under Mughal control, but also created deep political and social divisions. By the early 18th century, the empire faced challenges from regional powers like the Marathas, Rajputs, and Sikhs, as well as European trading companies. The East India Company capitalized on this fragmentation, gradually asserting control through political manipulation and military strength. The empire effectively ended after the Indian Rebellion of 1857, when the British Crown formally abolished Mughal rule and established the British Raj. Despite its decline, the Mughal Empire's legacy endures in India's culture, architecture, and social fabric. The syncretic traditions fostered under their rule continue to influence the nation's identity, making this era one of the most significant in Indian history. The arrival of the British East India Company in the 17th century marked the beginning of European influence in India. Initially focused on trade, the company gradually expanded its political control, exploiting India's internal divisions and emerging as a dominant force after the Battle of Plassey in 1757. By the mid-19th century, the British East India Company governed vast territories, but its exploitative policies and disregard for Indian traditions led to widespread discontent, culminating in the Revolt of 1857. Often referred to as the First War of Independence, the Revolt of 1857 was triggered by a combination of economic grievances, political discontent, and cultural tensions. Soldiers, or sepoys, rebelled against the British, beginning with the infamous uprising at Meerut. The revolt spread rapidly, with cities like Delhi, Kanpur, and Lucknow becoming key centers of resistance. Leaders such as Rani Lakshmi Bai, Bahadur Shah Zafar, and Tantia Tope became symbols of the fight for independence. Despite its scale and intensity, the revolt was ultimately suppressed due to superior British military power and lack of coordination among the rebels. In the aftermath of the revolt, the British Crown assumed direct control of India in 1858, marking the beginning of the British Raj. Under colonial rule, India underwent significant changes, both positive and negative. Infrastructure projects like the development of railways, telegraphs, and canals were implemented, primarily to serve British economic interests. Western education and legal systems were introduced, creating a new class of English-educated Indians. However, these developments came at a heavy cost. British economic policies drained India's wealth, leading to severe famines, widespread poverty, and the decline of indigenous industries. The late 19th century saw the rise of Indian nationalism, fueled by the socio-economic inequalities perpetuated by colonial rule. The formation of the Indian National Congress, INC, in 1885 provided a platform for political dialogue and reform. Early nationalist leaders like Dadabhai Naoroji, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and Bal Gangadhar Tilak advocated for greater Indian participation in governance and the protection of Indian industries. The 20th century marked a turning point in India's struggle for freedom. Mahatma Gandhi emerged as a key leader, advocating non-violent resistance and mass mobilization against British rule. His leadership in movements such as the Non-Cooperation Movement, 1920-22, the Salt March in 1930, and the Quit India Movement in 1942 galvanized millions. Gandhi's philosophy of satyagraha, truth and non-violence, inspired not only Indians but also global movements for civil rights. Simultaneously, leaders like Subhas Chandra Bose pursued more radical approaches to achieve independence. Bose formed the Indian National Army, INA, with support from Axis powers during World War II, seeking to challenge British authority militarily. His slogan, "Give me blood and I will give you freedom," remains etched in the annals of India's independence movement. The culmination of decades of struggle came on August 15, 1947, when India gained independence. However, this triumph was accompanied by the tragic partition of India and Pakistan, driven by religious tensions. The partition led to one of the largest migrations in human history, with millions displaced and widespread communal violence. While India emerged as a free and secular nation, the scars of partition remain a poignant reminder of the cost of freedom. The British Raj left a complex legacy. While it introduced modern infrastructure and institutions, it also exploited and divided India, delaying its economic and social progress. The freedom struggle, marked by unparalleled resilience and sacrifice, remains a source of inspiration for generations, shaping the democratic and pluralistic ethos of modern India. On August 15, 1947, India emerged as an independent nation, free from nearly 2 centuries of British colonial rule. The euphoria of independence, however, was tempered by the partition of the subcontinent into India and Pakistan. This division, driven by religious tensions, led to one of the largest and most tragic migrations in history, with over 15 million people displaced and communal violence claiming hundreds of thousands of lives. The newly independent India faced immense challenges, including the task of rebuilding its economy, uniting diverse communities, and establishing a democratic framework. Under the leadership of Jawaharlal Nehru, India's first Prime Minister, the country adopted a secular and democratic constitution in 1950. The Constitution of India, crafted under the guidance of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, enshrined fundamental rights, abolished untouchability, and provided for a federal structure with parliamentary democracy. India's commitment to democracy, despite its socio-economic complexities, became a hallmark of its identity. In the years following independence, India focused on economic self-reliance and social reform. The Green Revolution of the 1960s, spearheaded by leaders like M.S. Swaminathan, transformed India's agriculture, making the country self-sufficient in food production. Simultaneously, efforts to promote industrialization and infrastructure development were made through successive 5-year plans. State-owned enterprises dominated sectors like steel, energy, and telecommunications, reflecting Nehru's vision of a mixed economy. The mid-20th century also saw India asserting itself on the global stage. Under Nehru, India adopted a policy of non-alignment, refusing to align with either the United States or the Soviet Union during the Cold War. This approach made India a leading voice among newly decolonized nations, promoting peace and cooperation through platforms like the Non-Aligned Movement, NAM. In the scientific and technological domain, India achieved remarkable milestones. The establishment of the Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO, in 1969 marked the beginning of India's space exploration journey. ISRO's achievements, from the Aryabhata satellite to the Chandrayaan and Mangalyaan missions, have positioned India as a leader in space technology. Similarly, advancements in nuclear technology and healthcare reflect the country's commitment to self-reliance in critical fields. The late 20th century brought both challenges and opportunities. Economic stagnation and political instability characterized the 1970s and 1980s, with events such as the emergency 1975-77 under Indira Gandhi and the assassination of Prime Ministers Indira Gandhi 1984 and Rajiv Gandhi in 1991, highlighting turbulent times. However, the 1991 economic liberalization under P.V. Narasimha Rao and Manmohan Singh transformed India into a global economic powerhouse. Reforms opened up markets, encouraged foreign investment, and fostered a burgeoning IT sector, earning India its reputation as the back office of the world. In the 21st century, India has continued to evolve as a global leader, with a population of over 1.4 billion. It is the world's largest democracy and among the fastest growing major economies. Cities like Bengaluru, Hyderabad, and Pune have become global hubs for technology and innovation. At the same time, India has maintained its cultural heritage, with Bollywood, classical arts, and festivals gaining global recognition. Despite its achievements, modern India faces significant challenges. Socio-economic inequality, environmental concerns, and communal tensions remain pressing issues, yet the nation's resilience, democratic institutions, and diverse population provide hope for continued progress and unity. Today, India stands as a testament to the enduring spirit of its people and the strength of its democratic foundations. From the ancient civilizations of the Indus Valley to the modern skyscrapers of Mumbai, India's journey is a story of perseverance, innovation, and diversity. The nation's history is far from complete, with new chapters being written every day, promising an even brighter future. India's history is a journey through time, a story of ancient civilizations, revolutionary philosophies, mighty empires, and the resilient people who have shaped the world as we know it today. From the remarkable urban planning of the Indus Valley to the visionary reforms of independent India, every chapter reveals the ingenuity, diversity, and determination of a nation that continues to inspire. Here at Chronikos, we bring history to life. Our mission is to explore the past, unravel its mysteries, and connect its lessons to the present. If you've enjoyed this journey through India's rich history, imagine what else lies ahead. Stories of forgotten empires, groundbreaking discoveries, and untold tales from around the globe. Hit the subscribe button and become part of the Chronikos community. Join us as we uncover the fascinating stories of humanity, one era at a time. Don't forget to like this video, leave your thoughts in the comments, and share it with fellow history enthusiasts. Together, let's keep the past alive for future generations. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay curious and stay inspired.